Okay, quick video if I may. Yesterday, it's past midnight, so I can legally say yesterday now. Yesterday, we had this sentencing for the Michigan shooter's parents. I do not want to say their name. I don't want to, because that's what they want. They want to be famous. I don't want to say their name. But you had a Michigan shooter who was serving life without parole for shooting up a school. Now, his parents were charged with manslaughter, and they had two separate juries, two separate trials, but one sentencing phase. And I think they may have asked for that because you can ask to be tried separately. Now, there was a little bit of outrage from the Second Amendment community about opening Pandora's box. Can I legally hold a parent accountable for the actions of their child? And some guys may disagree when I say this. Here is the thing that I found out. Because they just said shooting, the sentencing happened, blah, blah, blah. The wife was convicted, then then the husband was convicted. Here's the details of it. This family went out of their way to ignore all the warning signs. To the point where when they literally had a chance to do something, they still said, we don't give a fuck. Okay, now if you look at the Columbine shooting, is the best example of everyone knew in advance, but the parents knew the most. And one of the shooters, his father called 911 and said, I think my son is involved in the shooting. I did a shooting in my kid's school. I think my son is a shooter. And my response to that is, if you had this idea in your head that your son is the shooter in the school, my question is, where were you the past 18 years? And that was my question to Mike Brown's parents many years later. You know, Mike Brown's parents were like, we're suing the city because our son was killed by a cop. Okay, where were you when your son was robbing a fucking convenience store? Right. Where were you when your son tried to kill the cop? Okay, you can't have it both ways. And then if you look at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting, that was the case in point of maybe not the parents and the kid's mom passed away, God rest her soul, but everyone except the parents knew. Well, this kid was disturbed. And we've all seen the thing in school where the kid bit the pop doll. Oh, look, a gun, suspended. Someone with a Hello Kitty bubble gun, suspended. Kids running around, pew, 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 suspended. Like little kids. Okay? This kid had drawn a gun on a test paper. He had allegedly drawn blood and kids getting shot, which is a cry for help. And I'm not going to hold it against you if you need help. Full disclosure, I had a friend of mine from high school killed in a car accident. It was his fault. And that took years to accept. We graduated according to our major. Our major was carpentry. He was 3 guys ahead of me in line. Then skipping one guy, the guy right in front of me died 6 months, 10 days later of cancer. I went to grievance counseling. Okay, and there's a lot of times when you have people, veterans, rape victims, child sex abuse victims, guys who lost their parents at a young age, especially suddenly. You know, my grandfather died when my mother was 15. And she was the oldest of 6 kids. They could have benefited from some counseling. Okay? especially my uncles who ended up, yeah. But, so I'm not going to hold it against you if you have a problem and you need help. Okay? Nor do I think the gun community or anyone else like that should hold it against you if you have, marriage counseling, you have PTSD counseling. Okay, if you were involved in something that's not your fault, your best friend died, your mom died, your cousin died of cancer when she was 9 years old. Okay, I have a cousin who buried 3 of her kids. Just for they were old, they're kids that are older than me. But my cousin had 4 kids. She buried 3 of them. She buried a grandchild. Okay, we all have problems, and that doesn't make us bad people, and it doesn't make us violent, and it doesn't make us suicidal. But when you cross that threshold, we have a problem. Now, in this case, his parents bought him a gun. Now, how many times have parents bought their kids guns? I don't think it's a problem most of the time. Although, if you look at Sandy Hook, the mother bought her kids guns while simultaneously trying to get them into a mental institution. And I was the first person to say after that happened that if she had not been murdered too, she could have been charged with straw purchase. By legal definition, straw purchase means I buy a gun legally and I do the paperwork for it. And then I give the gun to someone that I know shouldn't have it. That could be a convicted felon. It could be a guy on probation. It could be a mental patient. It could be a guy that's suicidal. If you know someone does not need a gun and you give them said gun, that is a straw purchase. Okay? And they gave this kid, I think, a rifle. Now, like I said, Barry and Eric, for Christ's sake, they did a fucking video about what gun you should buy your first kid. No. What's the first gun you should buy your kid? And they showed all these single shot 22s, and they showed a Ruger Ruger 1022, and they showed this and the other thing, and they showed a Mossberg 410 gauge. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. You want to teach your kid hunting, you want to teach your kid responsibility, that's fine in most cases. Now, this kid told his parents, I'm having visions, I see blood. That's a problem. Why do you see blood? Now, if the kid had witnessed a very horrible car accident and he had a nightmare and PTSD, that's different. Because how many fucking veterans see blood? We got veterans that are still alive from World War II. And they're still having nightmares. I know I saw a documentary where we had an Air Force guy, and he knew a guy that was in World War I, who's obviously long gone. This guy was in the Army Air Service in World War I. And he was 91 years old at the time, so this is a couple years ago. And the guy said, I had a nightmare last night. So this is in the 1980s. You got a 91-year-old veteran who's having nightmares of World War fucking I. Okay? So if you have trauma, okay, you might have a woman that was raped. She has nightmares. You might have a woman that survived a murder attempt. She has nightmares. She sees blood. I've seen dead bodies in my dreams because I had a nightmare about this and everything. I had a dream where when my friend died the next night, I had a dream where I'm at his coffin and his coffin fell on me. Okay? So that would be normal. And you could talk to your priest, your rabbi, your psychologist, and you could say, listen, I have nightmares, okay? Stuff like that. It's normal. But when you just say, I see blood, I see violence, I see death, and there's no logical explanation for it, that's a problem. And this kid told his parents, I want to see a doctor, I want help. his parents ignored him, and then at one point his father handed him medication and said, "Suck it up." Well, was that his medication? Was that his son's medication? Was that aspirin? Was it Flintstone chewable vitamins? That is not the type of behavior when your son is a problem. Now here's the real fucking kick in the teeth. This kid brought a gun to school and they searched him. And you look up TLO versus New Jersey. TLO, they can't use the full name because TLO was a minor. TLO was in school smoking in the bathroom. And at the time, tobacco was 18 everywhere. Now some states tobacco is 21. But even still, you could be an 18-year-old high school senior and you could have, your state law could say 18 for tobacco and you could buy tobacco legally, but if you bring it to school, they can take it. Because schools have deemed no students, even students that are 18, cannot smoke tobacco on campus. Cannot have tobacco on campus, period. We don't give a fuck, okay? And TLO, the principal, took it to his office, opened her purse, and dumped it out. We think he was looking for her cigarettes. He finds rolling paper and a list of guys that owed her money. She was selling weed at school. And even if weed was legal back then, which it was not, you can't buy it till you're 21 now in places where it's legal, and you can't have it on school grounds. She was arrested because back then weed was illegal and she was a minor. She's arrested, and she actually sues the principal and says, "My Fourth Amendment right was violated." And the case went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, "What Fourth Amendment? You do not have a right of privacy in school. In school, you were a minor, and even if you're 18, but in school, your principal and subordinates have custody of you. And you can be searched." And I was searched in school a million times. When I was in 11th grade, we had the Columbine incident, and we had 7 bomb scares in my school in 3 weeks. And there were also other bomb scares at other schools too. In fact, 2 bomb scares were 2 in one day. And they brought in metal detectors, okay? I cannot tell you how many times they searched book bags on Halloween or the day before Halloween, okay? Someone stole something, let's go look in the lockers, okay? I cannot count the number of times that the principals, administrators, teachers searched whatever, and it was legal. Not only that, the principal can call the police and designate them to search. They cannot do a strip search, but they can do a search of your book bag, your clothing, your locker, your cubby. In elementary school, we have the desk with storage in it, that too. If you're a high school student and you drive to school, your car can be searched by the administrators. Yes, it can be. And they found, for some reason, this kid had a gun in his book bag. Now, are you allowed to bring a gun to school? No, you are not. They brought him to the principal's office, and they told his parents to come pick him up and bring him home. Now, when I was in school, if you were sick and the nurse said, "Come get your kid," or if you had a discipline problem and the principal said, "Come get your kid," that was not a suggestion. And when I was in school, if you had a fight to defend yourself and you got suspended, parents didn't care because you got to protect yourself. But if you were a discipline problem in school and your parents had to leave work to come get you, that was not funny. When the principal called and said, "Your son is a discipline problem, come get him," that was not a suggestion. You were being at least sent home for the day, if not suspended, and you could not be in school. okay? And the parents, I heard the parents were on the phone. I heard the parents came to school, and like, well, we're not gonna do that. What the fuck you mean you're not gonna do that? Let me tell you something now, okay? I'm the principal. You bring a fucking gun to my school, you're getting arrested. When I was in school, if you brought a weapon to school, and there were a couple of kids, I saw a couple of kids that were caught with a knife at school, just having it in their pocket. It was a 5-day suspension. I think one had to get a lawyer to get out of getting expelled. And it was an arrest. So you got arrested, got charged, got suspended for 5 days, and on top of that, I think I had one kid that I had it. He ended up graduating the next year. He had to get a lawyer to avoid being expelled. I thought for sure he was expelled. We had a police search. The police picked our class randomly, took us outside, searched us, separated us, let him come back inside, and then say, hey, wait a minute, you get back over here. They let him come back inside on purpose. They wanted him to think he got away with it, but he didn't. Okay? And if you had a gun, you were expelled. You were expelled. You know, like, well, come get your son. I don't want to get my son. Okay, that's fine. First of all, who the fuck is the principal? You got caught with a gun on campus. Come and get your son. I don't want to get my son. Fuck. What the fuck is going on here, man? And then that was the day they took the gun away, obviously. And what did they do with the gun? Did they give it to the police? Did the police say, hey, he's fine? Then, I mean, so, and the shooting happened. I think he got his rifle, and he had his rifle somewhere, and he shot up the school that day. And I'm going to come out and I'm going to say, I think the parents should have got convicted. But before I say that, Tilo versus New Jersey, the parents, Tilo versus New Jersey, when the kid is in school, the kid is in the custody of the school. Okay, where's the principal? Why isn't he in jail? The parents got 10 to 15 years in prison because they knew their kid was a psycho and they literally did nothing. To the point where they let him have a gun, to the point where he brought a gun to school, to the point where he said, I want help. No, you don't need help. Fuck you. Suck it up. Be a man. Okay? The principal has the kid in school with the gun and allows the kid to remain on campus. The parents say, I don't want to get my kid. You don't have to. What the fuck is going on here? Okay? For all these pieces of shit liberals that are like, well, maybe if the gun didn't have a pistol grip, you wouldn't kill that many kids. Maybe if the gun had less bullets, you wouldn't kill that many kids. Maybe if the gun didn't have a collapsible butt stock, it would have killed us. I mean, what the fuck is going on here? You literally, and I didn't know this until the case came up. You literally have a kid in school with a fucking gun, and the principal doesn't expel the kid. He doesn't have the kid arrested. He calls the parents, and the parents say, we don't want to get him. Oh, like, that's fine, go back to class. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Now, if I was one of the parents, my first question is going to be, what happened to the gun you got caught with? Was that taken away by the police? Now, the principal should go to prison too. Because if the principal literally saw the kid in school with a fucking gun and allowed the kid to remain in school, okay, you don't want to take him home, that's fine. Fuck you, dude. Okay, that principal has to go to prison too. And where was the gun put? Did the principal put it in his desk drawer? Did the principal give it to the cops? And did the cops come and arrest the kid? No, they did not. This was so preventable once again. And this is what makes the Second Amendment so controversial. Okay, this is what makes When these liberal assholes that always say guns are bad and only bad people have guns and legal gun owners kill more people than anybody. Okay, stop fucking proving them correct. I mean, every fucking time you do this, these fucking liberals dance. Okay, liberal politicians and these parent groups, they don't give a fuck these kids are dead. That's irrelevant to them. They got another notch to carve out. They got one more argument to make against you. Because you got a parent who buys their kid a fucking gun, knowing their kid's a fucking psycho. You got a parent that says, suck it up, when their kid has violent visions in his head. And on top of that, you got a kid who has a gun in fucking school. They catch him with it, let him go back to class, and the parent's like, I don't want to get my kid out of school. I don't give a fuck about that. Okay? So yeah, let's arrest the principal and let's investigate what happened to the gun afterwards. Thank you.